Good afternoon everybody and welcome to Wild Earth this afternoon here from Djuma Game Reserve in South Africa. My name's Tara and joining me on camera this afternoon is Andrew, back in final control is Brian, and of course the thumb keeping control. We do have a few things to fill you in on as we drive around, so I'm keen to get going. Well actually I'll let you guys try and work out where we are. Check the tree, you might recognise it. But if you do know where we are, or if you think you know where we are, then send your answers through to questions@WildEarthTV, #SafariLive, and see who can come up with the location of where we are at the moment. So, where we are actually based at the moment, it's a little bit further back from the old camp, and literally, as we got back from drive, the heavens did open, by the way. You can see all these clouds here. I'm hoping they're high enough in the sky that we're not going to get too much rain. I'm hoping it will hold off. Everything crossed. So, after the rains, and there was a bit of a burst, we didn't have the 12 mils that we were expecting, and it certainly wasn't a downpour like we were expecting. It was quite gentle rain, which, as I said before, is actually very good for the bush, because the trees can absorb it, and the grass and everything, it doesn't get washed away and it doesn't wash away the topsoil. But probably about 1 o'clock, maybe about 12, something like that, the squirrels started chirping away like crazy, the francolins also, and the dog belonged to one of the managers of Djuma, so barking. And I thought, oh, there's somebody there, there's somebody out there. So we have had a quick check around the back. That might help you to decide. There might be a very big giveaway at the top here. But I had a check around, couldn't see anything. I was hoping maybe it was Karula, visiting one of our old haunts. Maybe it's one of Karula's boys. But who knows? But I am keen to check that out. Apparently there's been some wild dogs seen on Arethusa, so we're actually going to start migrating to the west very slowly and just see if we're on the boundary at the right time. Maybe wild dogs will cross. Oh, that would be fantastic. I can't remember the last time I saw wild dogs, and I'm sure it's been a while since you guys seen wild dogs, so there's possibly that going on. And for those of you who weren't able to join us on drive this morning, we actually found a female hyena at the den on Philemon's Cut Line. As some of you will remember, it was Ntumbella's den. And to begin with, I thought it was the mother of little Ntumbella, and there's a little cub underneath the legs. But we did get a very good view of her. And then, as she's suckling the cub, they obviously finish about 10-15 minutes later, and up pops a second cub. So I had another look at the notches in the ear, and this female actually has notches in her right ear rather than her left ear at the top of her ear. So she is actually a different female. So I'm sure some of you will go, oh, auto monitor, oh, nice, just down here. Check it out. Oh, that's a nice, decent size. I bet this is the water monitor we saw tracks of the other day. Very, very cool. And obviously, if you do have any questions, send them through to questions@WildEarth.tv, #SafariLive, because we are on a live safari broadcasting from South Africa in the world famous Sabi Sands. And it is wonderful to have you all on board this afternoon. And this is a water monitor. You can see the back is quite speckled, and underneath it's quite yellow in colour, and it has another name. Oh, there's a double-banded groundling hovering just above it. It's a type of dragonfly. A double-banded groundling. There's some brilliant names out there. But it also gets called, apart from a water monitor, it does get called the yellow-throated monitor. And there is a slight difference in the track between the water monitor and the rock monitor. The rock monitor, as the name suggests, does tend to live more in the rocky areas, and their nails, the claws, actually wear down a little bit more than the water monitor, because the water monitor spends a lot of time on the softer substrate and around the water, so their claws tend to be quite sharp and longer, and you can sometimes see that difference in the track. It's not completely noticeable, but sometimes you can see that difference. The head as well of the water monitor, you can see it really nicely there. The water monitor is nice and pointed, the rock monitor is quite blunt, and they've actually got quite a thick head as well. Now, it may look very docile, but if I was to go down there now, he would probably move into the water, but if it was on the road, it might turn around and try and use its tail to lash out. And that is their defense. The tail is like a whip. And those claws as well, very strong, and they can do some damage with those claws. Oh, I'm so chuffed we got to see it. And it looks like the hippo is still in the water. Got one or two oxpeckers on its back. I think very happy to be on its own after its intruded the other day. Did we have any answers from where we started? See if anyone got it right. Obviously this is a big giveaway now, but see if anybody did come back. No one had a go at seeing where we were. Well, there goes the water monitor. It's starting to swim away. So obviously quite a big giveaway being at Gowrie Dam now. That's why I was trying to avoid starting at Gowrie Dam. There he goes. Quite peaceful. I was hoping maybe we'll see some movement up towards the lodge. Maybe looking out for any chicks that might fall out of these nests. Some impala still around, and we have the Egyptian goose just on the right as well. Now there's the rest of the family. We did start hearing one of the impalas roaring, so it won't be long before you do start to hear them. They're right underneath the camera and very close to the speakers, so you might be able to hear them. It's like a when they really start going. So if you hear that, that's all to do with the rut. Oh, I can hear a woodpecker. Someone was asking about woodpeckers the other day. So we actually started off at the junction Central Road and Gowrie Cut Line, at the big tree where we have often seen the Wahlbergs. Ah, I just saw it. Did you catch it? You see where it is? And it is our bearded woodpecker. Remember I said to you a few days ago, or some of you might not have been able to join us, but if you can hear a woodpecker tapping, it might actually be the bearded woodpecker, because they actually use that as a form of communication as well. So if you hear it tapping very loudly. But I think because we're actually pretty close, can see it's moving all over the branch. It's looking for grubs. They've got an incredibly long tongue as well, so if they do manage to drill a hole into the bark and find any grubs underneath it, they can use that tongue as well to fish them out. And the first Who Sung It for you, the bird that was just calling. What bird has just been calling? Questions at WildEarthTV, hashtag Safari Live. Who sung it? See who is first off the mark this afternoon. Got a nice view of the woodpecker now. And you see it clinging to the branch upside down, and it's those 2 toes forward and 2 toes back that allows her to do that, known as zygodactylus foot. So she can clamber underneath the branches, over the branches. Mr. Hippo's come over to see what we're up to. Emily and Virginia, first ones off the mark. Welcome on board to you this afternoon, ladies. It is the Cape Turtle Dove. Ah, awesome. Everybody guessing is getting it correct. Well done. Cool. Well, let's see if there has been any movement around the quarantine area. Because the other thing to add to the little story of hearing the francolins and the dogs and the squirrel, there was actually a hyena that gave the call. And I'm thinking, Andrew hasn't actually given us a call yet. Do you want to give us your hyena impression? Oswald? That's what I heard, which is a contact call. That's why I was so convinced. It was very good, wasn't it? As I say, that is what I heard. Unless it was Andrew then, messing with me. But that's why I was so convinced that there was something there. So I think we definitely have to make a turn there again. But the problem is, I don't know where that call was coming from. It sounded like it was at the back, where everything else had been calling from. But it might not have been. Okay. Animal ID this time. We've seen enough of these guys. What animal is this? Questions at WildEarthTV, hashtag Safari Live. Because a lot of people do struggle with antelope and ID, so see how well you guys have been doing over the last 2 weeks. I wonder what I got into him. Who's first off the mark with the ID of that antelope. So the last thing I need to fill you in on, and it's a little bit sad, this unfortunately is going to be my last drive. And for those of you who are aware, I am still doing my PhD, I'm still doing my research over in Leidenburg, so it was only to fill in for Mark while he was on leave. Mark does return tomorrow morning, I was going to be doing the drive tomorrow morning, but we have somebody else for you. There's another chance to have a look at the antelope a little bit closer. Oh, kudu, kudu. Oh dear, some people saying kudu, not quite kudu, but good to hear most people coming back with the right answer and even giving Nyala bull. Brilliant. Awesome, guys. I say he does look a little bit like a kudu, but hopefully you may notice the horns if I can see him again for you. The kudus have those beautiful corkscrew spiral horns. The Nyala, it's almost like it's one twist. And he's very dark, he's very like this charcoal black colour. Difficult to see the yellow stockings. There we go, there he is, guys. See, I think this wind is really playing havoc. There we go, he's just looking at us now. But hopefully you can see that black body and the horns. I say, not making that a spiral like the kudu do, but he is a bull. The Nyala females don't have horns. The Nyalas, the bushbuck, the kudu, all the females don't have horns. They're all related, the spiral-horned antelope. And you can see all three here at Djuma. So he is the medium-sized one. Now, obviously with the camera you don't get a very good size comparison. But if I could maybe help you out a little bit, probably stands sort of back off the ground about that sort of height, and then head about that sort of height for the Nyala. That's kind of the height of him. Kudu much bigger. Kudu kind of up there. So I am going to do half a lap-ish around quarantine and just see if I can find anything that may point towards what was happening this afternoon. We will also take a drive. I was going to try and go to the hyena den on Cheetah Cut line, but with the possibility of maybe dogs coming through, I think we're more sensible staying this side, and hopefully Mark will be able to take you back to the hyena den, because we still need to have names for those cubs. We also have these two cubs on Philemon's Cut line to name, and we'll definitely take a swing by there and see if they're out and about for you. I think we've got a male and female again, but I'll let Mark decide with you guys what to name them. So we still just need the names for the two on Cheetah Cut line. So send your names in, and one for a male, one for a female. We had a few suggestions this morning, and we'll see if we can have a bit of a vote and maybe decide at the end of the drive, or maybe we can announce it tomorrow morning on the drive. Let's see if we can have a look. So, who's going to be driving for you tomorrow? Well, we have a new presenter trying out for you tomorrow, so you'll be able to definitely quiz him on his whole life story and everything tomorrow. But for the time being, he's called Brent, and he is familiar with the Sabi Sands, in different parts of the Sabi Sands. Aha! So I'm so busy looking out here, looking for any sign of cat activity. Did you just call them something else? Did I just hear you call that?
What?
Bushbuck. Do you want to retract that? You just saw the spots, hey?
I just saw them quickly.
The male's, he's actually quite a young male. He's going to come into shot now. There we go. There you can see those horns just poking above the tops of the ears. So he's probably about 18 months old. And he's not as dark as the male we saw just now. So when the males are first born, they are a chestnut brown colour, just like the female. but he's starting to get his adult colours. Where did the female go? Its chances are this female's his mother. She's just in amongst all the silver cluster leaf, but she's very well hidden. Hi Sharon, good to have you on board this afternoon in Pittsburgh. I hope you're well, Sharon. Sharon wanting to know if it's true you can kind of guesstimate the age of kudu based on the number of turns of the horn, and it is true. Let's say with the spiral horned antelope, especially the nyala and the kudu, once the horns reach just over the top of the ears, it's roughly about 18 months old. And then the kudus, sorry, who was that from? Trent in Fiji. Welcome on board, Trent. I haven't heard you on board before. And Trent has never seen the animal before. It is a nyala bull that we saw earlier. And oh, dwarf mongoose. Oh, they're one of my favourites. Let's see if we can get them to come out again for you. But yeah, we just had the nyalas. Unfortunately, they were going into thick bush again. Now these guys are very inquisitive, so I'm hoping if we sit here long enough, they might just come out again just to have a look and see what we're all about. I can see some hornbills bobbing around in the tree. And the hornbills do form, or do have a relationship with dwarf mongoose in some areas, and the Sabi Sands is certainly one of those. So the hornbills have often been in these areas where they do form a mutualistic relationship. Both sides actually get something out of the relationship. The hornbill will actually wait by the nest of where the dwarf mongoose are staying and wait for them to wake up, and the dwarf mongoose will wait for the hornbills to come and join them, and then they both go off and forage together. And the benefit is the hornbills obviously moving around in the trees, they've got a height advantage over the dwarf mongoose, so they can see what's going on and warn of any danger. And if there's any insects that the dwarf mongoose misses, the hornbills can actually swoop down and catch them. So they both get something out of the relationship. So sometimes they just come out onto the edge of the road there just to have a look. We'll definitely have to see if we can find some more dwarf mongoose for you. They're one of my favourites, I must admit. They're always busy, there's always something going on. We'll just drive slowly, maybe we'll see another one. Gone. There they are. Ephraim, come in. Good afternoon, Ephraim. I'm missing what's being said. Copy, thanks. More timbers. Copy that, thank you. So just an update, apparently one of the Matimba males has been seen with a female, possibly an Nkahuma female, up in Buffalo's Hook. Sounds like Big Dam. Unfortunately that's just a little bit over where we're able to traverse. But look at these cute little guys. South Africa's smallest carnivore. They really are tiny. And that's possibly one of the reasons why they do have a family rather than just being on their own, because they are very small, so they rely on each other to keep each other safe. And even if there isn't a hornbill to keep a lookout for them, they will have sentinels on duty, just like the meerkats do, to keep a watch out for any predators. And they do give this really high-pitched yelping sound. And we have often seen them give that alarm call when leopards are around, and leopards will hunt the dwarf mongoose. And on occasion we have seen one or two of Karula's boys catching dwarf mongoose. I do remember in Djuma actually catching one and being quite successful. He did it very quickly. Okay. That was a grey hornbill, but you can see the reaction there. Just sit, wait, what's going on? Realising it's actually nothing to worry about, so I can go back to what he was doing. It's likely this is where they're staying at the moment, because they've actually got an abandoned termite mound, which is where they'll sleep, and they'll have several of these within their home range, and they'll utilise areas each time. There you go. There's one of the hornbills, grey hornbill. So grey hornbill on your screen now. I've not heard of grey hornbills forming the relationship. It tends to be the yellow-billed, the southern yellow-billed hornbill. And they were definitely around here. Good afternoon to you, Cecilia. Welcome on board. Cecilia wants to know if the dwarf mongoose are the same as prairie dogs. And they're not, Cecilia. Completely different kind of animal. Entirely. If I remember rightly, prairie dogs are a type of rodent, whereas these are actually carnivores, and they're actually closer related to dogs than they are cats. Sorry, scrap that. They're actually closer related to cats than dogs. It's the otters and the badgers and things like that that are closely related to dogs. But the prairie marmots and ground squirrels and all those sorts of things are rodents. So they're actually closely related to the porcupine this side than they would be for the dwarf mongoose. So just like the meerkats, they do have retreats, so if there is a problem, they can all bolt straight into the holes and be nice and safe. It's so cheeky. There's the grey hornbill again. And I think it keeps throwing the dwarf mongoose actually. You can see they keep looking up every time that hornbill calls. They do keep looking up just to check it's not actually a bird of prey. There we go. Oh, fantastic. Thanks, little mongoose. Hi, Eileen in snowy Boston. Oh, just even the name snow just makes me feel cold. But Eileen wanting to know what dwarf mongoose eat. They are South Africa's smallest carnivore, so anything smaller than them they'll go after. And they'll go for insects and spiders. I've actually seen them jump off the ground up into a spider's web and actually catch the spider with its front paws. Very cute. And if they can get hold of lizards, anything like that, small rodents. Oh, elephant crossed that way. Nice to see an elephant. Hi Ellen, welcome on board from Illinois this afternoon. Ellen would like to know if there's any difference between the dwarf mongoose and the slender mongoose other than the size. So just to give you guys a size comparison, dwarf mongoose nose to the base of the tail, it's probably about that long. With the slender mongoose they're about that, they look a bit like a ferret, and they've got the tail, adding the tail with the slender you're looking about that, and the dwarf mongoose about that. So dwarf are much smaller than slender. Slender have been known to hunt dwarf mongoose. They're both active during the day, but the dwarf mongoose are the ones that are sociable. The slender mongoose is solitary. So you tend to see it on its own unless it's got pups or if it's actually mating. And you'll often see it just dash straight across the road, and you can see the long tail with the black tip on the end, and that's how you can ID the slender mongoose. They don't tend to stick around like the dwarf mongoose do that we've just seen back there. We do have a few of the mongoose around, and some of them are actually nocturnal, they're active during the night. And we've got one of the largest ones is the white-tailed mongoose, and comparison size-wise, you're looking about nose to base of tail, about that sort of length, maybe about that sort of height. So much bigger than the dwarf mongoose that we've just been seeing. And they tend to be solitary as well. Most of the nocturnal mongoose are solitary. The other type of mongoose that we may have seen, I think it might have been Andrew, I think you thought you saw a meerkat here, but they do look very similar to a meerkat, and they're similar size, but they're more rounded, they're more stocky than a meerkat, and that's a banded mongoose, and they also live as a family. They're also active during the day, and they pretty much fill the role of the meerkat in habitat like this. So a lot wetter habitat. The meerkats you tend to find in more drier habitats up in Botswana and the western side of South Africa. But they are all types of mongoose. Even the meerkat's a type of mongoose. And I'd say the dwarf mongoose might even go after scorpions and things like that, just like the meerkats do. The meerkats are very well for attacking scorpions, venomous snakes and things like that. Some venomous snakes and things like that. Hi, Giddy in the UK, welcome on board. Giddy wants to know if dwarf mongoose get dug out of their burrows by the predators. And we didn't see the leopards digging. We don't tend to see much in the way of diggings in the termite mounds, and I think the predators of the dwarf mongoose are just not strong enough to get through. It's actually like concrete almost. It's extremely hard that the termites actually build. And the termites use saliva to stick bits of dust together, and that's why the termite mounds actually get formed, or how they get formed. And so they actually rock solid. So animals like the aardvark and the pangolin can break into these termite mounds, but I think they're probably just that little bit too strong for some of the other carnivores like jackals and leopards and things like that, so they don't tend to do much in the way of digging for them. And that's one of the reasons why they will utilise the termite mounds in the first place, for protection, because it is like a fortress. But the way Djuma actually caught the dwarf mongoose, I think they were away from the nest and they were running underneath all the logs and everything, and he actually managed to catch one before it got to its nest. Hi dear, welcome on board from Miami. Do you like to know what happens when it rains extremely hard? Do the burrows not get filled up? And some of them might. If the openings are very large, sometimes you do get the holes on top, and they're quite large. So if you've got them where there's the holes on top, then they might flood. Or if you've got a lot of water, surface water, and I say that's when you get a huge downpour and it just literally just takes everything away with it. You might get them filling up with water then. But otherwise, some of these are very well situated, and some of them are actually going to be higher up than others, so you might get them migrating to the ones that are higher up, keeping out of harm's way. Hi Jacqueline, welcome on board. And Jacqueline would like to know if dwarf mongoose have a family group like the meerkats, and yes they do. And it's the same, it's a very same setup. You get an alpha male and female, so the dominant male and female will breed, and the dwarf mongoose will have helpers from previous litters to help them rear the pups. And you might get a babysitter staying behind to look after those pups until they're old enough to join the family to go foraging, which is the same as the meerkats. Wow, that wind's really picking up again. Please hold off. Really hoping we can maybe find some elephants for you. We did have tracks going this way. We'll take Rebecca's road and pop in on the hyena, see if she's out and about. Chris in California, welcome on board. And Chris wanting to know if the mongoose excuse me, if the dwarf mongoose fights in mobs like the meerkats. And I'm sure if there was two families that came together, they would assert their authority over that area. and it would be a family affair. Same with the banded mongoose as well. And certainly the banded mongoose, I can imagine, would fight just like the meerkats. And the banded mongoose also a very similar setup with their social structure as well. So it seems it is my last drive, and we did try this yesterday, but I think there's quite a few emails and things that came in, and I totally forgot to remind for some more places. But if you can send in where you're actually from, it's always great to hear where everybody is in the world that is joining us on board and coming together to watch the safari live. So if you could send in hashtag Safari Live, questions at WildEarthTV, and put in the subject line where you're from, and we'll see who is actually on board this afternoon, on this Sunday afternoon. Hopefully you're taking it easy, you've had an awesome weekend. For those of you watching in Australia and Fiji, I hope Monday morning hasn't been too bad for you. We've still got Monday to come. But hopefully we're helping you with a little bit of, I would like to say sun warmth from South Africa, but unfortunately not today, but at least the bush from South Africa. As I say, with this wind, you can see there's not so many animals out and about this afternoon, because they do get a little bit uneasy because they can't figure out where the the smells are coming from, and the wind is whipping around their ears, and it is changing direction a little bit, but it is very strong, and that can just make them uneasy because cats can take advantage of that. So you tend to find the animals hiding away in the thick bushes. That's why you see me actually trying to stick to where the bushes are fairly thick. So we may have chance at seeing these animals this afternoon. And even the Nyala, I think, was getting a bit spooked because of the wind that was out in the open. Go ahead. Washington, Cape Town, South Carolina, England, Finland, wow, USA, Canada, Texas, Connecticut. Wow, we're actually getting quite a nice spread. And I say, we had someone from Fiji, Davenport. I think we had someone from Israel on yesterday. Wonder if Israel is on again today. I remember having somebody on from Kazakhstan once. But keep them coming in, guys. It's great to hear where you're all from. Ohio, Missouri, Atlanta, Kansas, Netherlands. Hey, near Disney World. Oregon. Wow, definitely a really cool spread this afternoon. Keep them coming in, it's great to hear. And as I say, I think everyone finds it fascinating to hear where everyone's from as well. With one thing in common, enjoying the African bush here on Wild Earth. So we're slowly making our way down towards the hyena den. I'm hoping this wind isn't getting that side and it's nice and sheltered. There's our impala herd. Again, check where they are. They're in the thick bush here. It's nice and sheltered for them in there. Just about make out one or two of the offspring there from this year. Probably about 2 to 3 months old now. It's about a month when they start showing horns if they're males. So the impala, much smaller than the Nyala that we saw earlier. The impala, probably about half the size of the bull, just that little bit smaller than the female we saw very briefly. But if you have a look carefully, they've got the white tails that they're flicking, so they're saying everything's okay. But also you can see the colours on the side of the body, slightly different. No spots or stripes or anything. They do have the dark colour on top of the body, the lighter halfway down, and then the cream underneath the belly. And it's known as counter shading. And the theory goes, when the sun is actually out, that dark on top blends in with the light underneath, and it makes them look less animal-like. Now, I'm not sure if I really believe it, but that is the theory. I can't come up with anything better. But if that's the case, why do other animals not have that? That's my only doubt about it. The springbok have it. We don't have springbok here. Springbok look very similar to impala, but they have a white face, and they actually have a black stripe separating the dark on top and the light underneath. And the springbok are usually found in the grassland areas, more open. Who is that?
It's a big warthog.
Ah! I thought I was seeing something grey, and I just wasn't sure what I was seeing. There we go. Chasing the warthog's chasing all the impala off. Trent in Fiji, great to hear you still with us, Trent. Oh, there we go. Questions at WildEarthTV, hashtag Safari Live. What bird is sitting in front of you now? Check out the colour of the bill and the legs, that should help to ID it for you. See who comes back with the correct ID. I've just heard them calling, but obviously they're a bit quieter now. But Trent wanting to know, where do the animals sleep? And in the bush. They can sleep underneath a bush. They might find a hole, maybe an abandoned hole in a termite mound, and we're actually going to go to one of the dens of the hyenas, and they've taken over one of the abandoned holes. The holes would have been made by an animal called an aardvark, and those holes, the aardvark actually have huge claws that allows them to dig into the termite mounds. I was saying earlier, they're very hard, and they're able to dig those holes to eat the termites. They have a long nose and big ears. Just quickly show you here. I can find an aardvark for you. Actually, I'll tell you what, we'll go to the den and I'll see if I can find an aardvark for you in the book. So when the aardvark feeds, it doesn't feed on all the termites in one go. It'll take a few, then move to the next nest and take a few, and it'll actually harvest termites in an area, and then maybe after a week or two it'll move out that area completely and allow those termites to grow in number again. So I just got sidetracked then. Hey, that's brilliant. Juvenile guinea fowl? Not quite. But it sounds like most people are getting it right. It is a Natal spurfowl, or Natal francolin. It is a spurfowl technically now, but it will always be a francolin to me. Well done to everybody getting it right. I'm so glad to hear, because I know the francolins people get very confused with, but hopefully just looking at that bill and the legs, it's very distinctive. The orange bill and orange legs. Natal spurfowl. So once the aardvark moves away, these holes become available to any other animal, and they found up to 50 different species that can utilise an abandoned hole made by an aardvark. Sometimes warthogs will come in and make the holes bigger with their tusks, and they'll utilise them, and the warthogs will actually back into the hole, so that if there's a predator around, they can come shooting out. And the tusks of the warthog are very, very dangerous. You don't want to get on the wrong side of those. It's not so much the tusks on the top, those are the ones that you can see that curl around. It's the ones underneath that you can't see, and they rub against the top ones and keep them razor sharp. And if you stand in the way of a hole and a warthog comes charging out, you're not going to look very pretty afterwards, believe me. So it's bush rules. You do not walk in front of an old hole. You walk behind it just in case somebody is in there and comes charging out at you. Porcupines have been known to share holes with aardvark. Say even birds sometimes nest in these old abandoned holes. Otherwise they can sleep underneath the bushes, as I say. Leopards might utilise the trees. Just approaching the hyena den now, hoping the female's going to be out and about for you. Otherwise I might have to come back a little bit later. I'd love to see them before we go. Oh, there she is. Are you watching us, lady? I'm actually just going to go around the side there, but you might have a quick look there. Clearing out there. Oh, we've got two. Got two hyenas there. Try and angle the vehicle a little bit so we can see the hole as well. So, the plot thickens. It could well be that we've got two mothers here. Hello, lady, you're going to come and say hello. Or we have one mother with two pups. I'd say one did look much larger than the other. Good afternoon to you, lady. And I think this is our mother who we saw this morning. I see a little bit of blood on her ears. I think maybe the cubs have been chewing on her ears. Oh, we've got another one. Look who it is. I think this could be the cub that Peter found. That looks like Dupandula. So this could be the communal den now. Looks like other hyenas are gathering here. You checking us out, lady? So that could be Dupandula's mother lying down, that this lady was actually bent over or standing over as we approached. But I think that is Dupandula, or is that mother? No, that mother's actually suckling, I think. Because remember when we saw the female this morning, we had the one cub feeding from her, the other cub came up from the hole, so it looked like it had been feeding, but it is possible it might have been somebody else's cub, and that's what I did say this morning. I wasn't sure, but with not having the other female around, I thought it might have been the same mother. Hi, Jeffrey in Nashville. Welcome on board this afternoon. Jeffrey from Nashville would like to know, how strong is a hyena? They're very strong. Oh, Asheville. Sorry, I thought you were saying Nashville. Asheville. And they are very strong. The bite of a hyena is one of the strongest in the animal kingdom. I think it's only beaten by the alligator snapping turtle over in the US. But its bite is around 1,500 pounds per square inch. Which is pretty strong. And that gives them the ability to crush bone, even large pieces of bone, skulls and femurs of animals like giraffe and things like that, and elephants. They can chew through bone. And they are the caretakers of the bush. You know, they actually help to decompose some of those substances that other animals just can't utilise. Now I'm just sitting here, just letting them get used to hearing us, hearing the sounds of the electrical equipment on board. I was going to say I'll see... Oh yeah, there's a little cub. So I was going to see if we could go around and see her, but it seems as she's moved, we don't need to. Hello, little one. Now this female, her ears are a lot more tatty than the other females. And she's got quite a few swellings on those ears. So we have a fourth mother by the looks of it. I can't keep up with these mothers. So this could be the mother of the other cub we saw this morning. Or we could have 3 small cubs here. So it'd be interesting to see. So this probably isn't Dopendula's mother. Hi Sharon, in Missouri. Welcome on board this afternoon. Sharon wanting to know, will they nurse each other's cubs, and apparently not. Oh, shame, that cub is very hungry. Wonder if there's another hyena coming in. She's not sure. But yeah, it's strange to me because they do have these communal dens and they do go hunting together and work together, but under no circumstances have they ever been seen nursing each other's pups. Now, what have you got there? But yet, Dopendula was, by the looks of it, around the 4 or 5 month old mark when... Oh, yeah, it's a piece of bone. When Peter found Dopendula, and you can see it's got much lighter and still got quite a bit of fur, but the legs are a lot longer than what they were even then, so the age is about right. And I think Brian's also recognising it as being Dopendula as well, so I'm sure a lot of people are very happy to catch up with Dopendula. And as I say, I think we found ourselves the new communal den. And I'm wondering, maybe that hyena whooping that I heard a bit earlier was the adults looking for maybe the more dominant female within the group who might have already been here. As I say, it's very difficult to say who's dominant and who's not unless you have a group of hyenas around and they come to greet each other. And the one that goes to greet is a subordinate. The one that just stands to be greeted is the dominant. Okay, I'm just going to pull her around the other side and just see if we can get a view of her. I'm just going to see what she's like when we start up the vehicle. Little Dopendula just having a quick look at us. Mum just had a little sneaky look, but she's looking away now, and she's actually put her head down. So I'm going to see if she'll actually allow us to just go around the corner and try and get a nicer view of her for you, nursing the pup. And it could be the other pup is inside the hole, or pups, because Mum is a little bit further away from the den. Mum's there, so I am going to disturb her if I try and go around, so we might just have to watch her for a little bit and then move back to where we were. Good afternoon, stations. Mbizikaya Fiddleman's cut line is active. Mbizikaya Fiddleman's cut line active. Again, though, it is a little bit windy here. You can see the grass blowing, so the adult's just trying to pick up any scents that they might give them the warning that there is somebody else around. And they used to be classified with the dogs because of the way they look. They do look like a dog, and the claws do stay out. Whereas the cats actually retract the claws, but there's a few similarities within the skull that they share with cats, which is why they have been reclassified with the cats, and that's why I think you can actually use pup or cub to describe their offspring. Sorry, can you just mention the name again? Hi, Dolly in Ontario. Welcome on board this afternoon, Dolly. And I'm just going to keep a check on my monitor to make sure she's not disturbed. But Dolly wants to know about how close the hyenas are getting. Would they actually attack a human? In this scenario, no. They do know that the vehicle is out of bounds, and anything within that vehicle, that it's also out of bounds. The same with the cats. We've had the leopards very close, the lions. And again, there is that natural understanding that you do not go near the vehicles. There's that respect there. If they were to... Oh, she got something. She got the sound of something. If they were to come too close to the vehicle, especially the leopard and the lion, then we do have to just remind them that the vehicles are out of bounds, because otherwise, if you allow them to put their paws on the vehicle, even if they're just inquisitive, the next step could be jumping on the vehicle. The next step could actually be jumping into and in between your guests, and maybe even killing people. So to keep that natural respect, if they put the paw anywhere near the vehicle, if they're sniffing the wheels, that's fine. But if they put the paw on the vehicle, they need to remind them. So either just a sharp hey, or bang on the side of the door, or just roll the vehicle forward, turning the engine on, anything like that, just to remind them that it's a no-go zone. Just to remind them that they need to keep clear. And hyenas are very wary animals, but they do become a lot bolder the more that the individuals are. But again, they become bolder just like the cats do at night. That really is their time. And on occasion, people do underestimate hyenas, and they do fall foul because of it. And occasionally you do hear of hyenas actually going into staff quarters if people have left the doors open and things like that, and actually dragging people out very, very occasionally. But it does happen. You've got to remember that we are living in the bush. These are wild animals, and they do take opportunities if they are there. So it's sometimes human error actually forgetting and inviting the animals in, because maybe what's actually led up to that point is people actually feeding the hyenas, so they've lost their fear of humans. So a hyena wouldn't just walk into camp and drag somebody out. That wouldn't happen. There's always something that it builds up, and it builds up for them to cross that line. And most of the time it's because people feed hyenas, and you're not supposed to in Kruger, but I still see people when I've been there throwing meat over the fence for the hyenas. And unfortunately the hyenas start to lose respect for people and for the boundaries, and then they start damaging property and things like that, and that's when you could potentially get a hyena trying to get at a child or something like that. So if you do ever go to Kruger, please do not feed the hyenas. There are signs up that do say no feeding hyenas, and there's a very good reason for that. It's the same with baboons. People think, oh, baboon, let's feed it, especially down in Cape Town. And the problem is now that baboons have lost their fear of humans, and so they can become a little bit too bold, and they'll steal ice creams from children and crisp packets and things like that, because again, people have said to them it's fine, and no, it's not. You need to keep that respect, and you can view animals just like this. You go ahead. Hi, Ken in Australia. We have Australia to add to the list. Welcome on board this morning. Well, it's your morning, our afternoon. I'm trying to get my head around the time zone still. But I hope you enjoy your morning coffee and enjoying the hyenas. Welcome on board. And Ken would like to know if hyena cubs are born blind, and they are. They are born underdeveloped. Most of the carnivores, the cubs are born altricial, which means they need help. They're born blind, quite often naked. And the reason for that is the mother, if she was to carry 2-3 cubs within her, and if she carried them up until the point where they are able to walk around and they have the fur, she is going to be slowed down so much. She's going to be too heavy to actually catch anything. So that's why the predators actually give birth to underdeveloped young. They can hide them away in dens. It sounds like there's another vehicle coming. I'm actually just going to roll back. Just so we can get to see the cub again. Can we see anybody there? Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hello.
Can you see okay?
Yeah, very good. Thanks.
Okay. There is actually another hyena around here. I can move back a bit more if you want to see it.
Okay, no, it's fine for now.
You sure? This female's got a cub here as well.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah. So obviously you've got the other side of things where you've got the herbivores. Now if the herbivores were to give birth to underdeveloped young, they'll be extremely vulnerable. Quite often the herds move around, So the mother, oh, there we go. Playing with little Doppendula. So the mother could struggle to actually keep it hidden, and they do hide offspring for sometimes a week or two or a few days, just so the offspring can actually get used to her, but the offspring can still move, so they're fully developed, and that's why herbivores usually only give birth to one, because it's not possible for her to carry 2 or 3 or more that are fully developed. But obviously once they're born, they need to be able to run straight away, they need to be able to move, because otherwise they're just so vulnerable to carnivores and predators. And for those of you who might just be seeing the cubs for the first time, you can see the little cub on the left. Oh, cheeky. So the little cub on the left is black, so it's under 4 months old. I think it's probably around the 2.5 month old stage. And the cub on the right is probably around the 7-8 month old mark. Something like that. You can see big size difference. And even the spots, they'll gain the spots about 4 months of age. Can you send who that was from again? Hi, Marisha in Texas. Welcome on board. Marisha wanting to know what's the purpose of their long neck. I'd say it's probably so they can actually get to the ground fairly easily without having to bend their legs. Cheeky. That female just made a pasting on the grass there. And I'm hoping you could actually hear that deep call that she was giving. Contact call, there she goes again. Right, go ahead. Alright, good on yourself. There's 2 stations in the lock at the moment. What's your lock? So just to confirm, that sound you were hearing was from the female hyena. Oh look, the baby's actually got hold of that piece of bone. And I think the baby is possibly more dominant than the older cub, Doppendula. And that's one of the reasons why she was managed to steal it away from her. And that will be from her birthright, so if they are high up on the ranking, if the mother's high up on the ranking, then the offspring will be high up on the ranking. And generally speaking, the matriarch is female dominated. If the matriarch is she's usually the strongest, the largest female. And chances are the cubs are going to get those genes to also become the strongest and largest. And I think possibly that other female was slightly lower ranking than her mother. And a few people wanting to know why the hyena was calling. And to be honest, I'm not entirely sure. It could be that she was just getting excited. Could be that she was just talking to the baby. We did actually see the younger female do that a little while ago. But it certainly seemed to be aimed towards the youngster. And you might notice as well when they do call, and especially if they're trying to contact the rest of the group, they actually do call into the ground to amplify the sound, and that's why it can carry for quite a distance. That's why I wasn't sure exactly where the hyena was calling from, because they will do that. But the fact that I could hear it did say it was somewhere close to camp. Let's say it could have been on the quarantine area, in which case it may well have been one of these females trying to locate the others to find them here at the den. The little Doppendula I don't think is high up on the ranking. And I think with this cub being quite bold, I would say it's probably higher up on the ranking. Well, certainly its mother is.
Yeah, I don't think some
Yeah, you can see that submissive stance there. You can see the tail was tucked right underneath, look. So I think cub does outrank Dopendula, the larger cub. Trying to reclaim its bone again. Yeah, check her, she's really trying to nip at it. I keep saying her, I think it probably is a female. I say they do tend to be a lot more aggressive than males. Could be that this Dopendula could be a male, that could be why it's a lot more submissive. Because males are submissive to females. So it'd be interesting to see if he does bite hard. It'll be interesting to see what mother's reaction is. If the pup yells. Can you hear the bones crunching? And you might notice him turning the head just so the cheek teeth can actually get to the bone. And it's those cheek teeth that are the shearing teeth. There's a pair, the premolar and a molar, on either side. And that's what they use to try and shear away meat from the bone, but also, as in the hyena's case, the bone itself.
Thanks, you're gonna hit off.
Okay, no worries. Catch you later. Hi Lisa, welcome on board this afternoon. Lisa wanting to know, can the baby chew the bone and why won't it share? Well, unfortunately in hyena world there's no sharing. And again, that's possibly because of the amount of testosterone in the female's body, and it could be because of the food and outcompeting males for dominance. As I say, if they've got the testosterone, the high levels, if they could outcompete the males for enough food, then their body can produce the milk, because the cubs can potentially drink milk up until about 1.5 years old, which is very long for a predator. You're looking usually for the lions and the other big cats around 3 months, sometimes up to 6 months, but usually they're weaned by about 3 or 4 months. So for the hyenas it's very long before they fully weaned, and that might have had something to do with the females outcompeting males for food. But as I say, there's no sharing when it comes to food. What is quite interesting, I think... yeah, the vehicle is moving. Sorry, who's that second one from? Julia from Houston, wanting to know, do they immediately know the hierarchy from birth? And I think they have a good idea, because the way the other hyenas will greet mum, and they'll also greet the offspring. Oh, Doppendula. Protecting your piece of bone. And that's also possibly why females of lower ranking might wait for quite a while before they go and take their babies to the communal den. They might let the young actually grow up a little bit, and that could be what's happening with the other females we've been seeing, because the young do seem to be around the 2-month-old mark. Sometimes they can actually take the cubs to a communal den by 10 days old, but I think that could be the more dominant females, because they have no worries with the cubs being bullied, whereas the subordinate females, the cubs might be bullied. So if they're young, they might fall victim to them, but if they're older, then they should be a little bit more able to look after themselves. You can hear the groaning from the adult again. Giving her a little bit of a push out the way there. So it could be that adult there is higher ranking than the pup, because she was lifting her leg earlier, and it could be that she was inviting the pup to smell her genitalia, which is the greeting. I say it will be how the adults interact with the cubs as well. Oh, little Doppendula. Looking very sorry for herself. Or himself. It's very difficult to tell male and female hyena apart, because the genitalia is very similar, and that comes from the amount of testosterone in the female's body. It's enlarged the genitalia to look like a male's. Hello, little one. Oh, the wind is starting to die down a little bit. But I have seen individuals actually calling to try and almost entice the more dominant hyena to interact, So that's why it's interesting. I'm still trying to work out who is more dominant. And that little laughter is when they get very excited. You can see the other two very alert. But that laughter you often hear around carcasses when the hyenas are really excited, and the tail springs up as well. They'll run around with the tail up in the air. Just confirm for me, was it Donna? Hi, Gail in Salem. Good to have you on board this afternoon. Gail wanting to know if Dopendula, who's on your screen now, is still suckling, and it will be at this stage. So, oh, there's a scrub head just in front of us. You able to get it? They don't tend to be out and about this time of day. Doesn't seem to be too worried the fact that there's a family of hyena just around the corner. I think it would be more concerned if there was a cat here. But as I say, hyenas are very good at hunting. They're very good hunters in their own right, but they are scavengers, and I think mainly scavengers here in the Sabi Sands because there's such a high density of cats here and other carnivores, so the possibility of getting a free meal rather than having to waste the energy is much higher. As I say, I think this little cub is probably about 7-8 months old. So they'll often go scavenging with the mother when they reach about six months old or so. Apparently they'll join a hunt when they're about a year old. And they may actually leave, especially if it's a male, they may leave when they're about 2. But if the male is born to the matriarch, then he actually has a free pass for a year, so he may leave about 3 years of age. Go ahead. No problem. You're more than welcome to pull in. You're more than welcome to pull in. But this is one thing I love, and we're able to actually watch the behaviour. And it is through just watching them and figuring out all of these things that you've been asking about the hierarchy. It slowly comes together. The more that you watch, the more it comes together. Welcome on board, Wanda. Wanda wanting to know if the mother with the 2 cubs is here or has she moved to a new den. It's difficult to say if the cubs are still here. It could be that she moved on as the other females joined her. I thought that the mother might be the other adult that's here. We're not seeing the second cub, but it could be the cub is actually in the hole sleeping. It could be that there's actually 2 mothers and the cubs were actually one for each mother. Because as I say, we actually had the 2 cubs. One looked a little bit larger than the other, and I thought maybe it's because there was a female and a male, but it could well have been that it was because it was from a different mother. It looked like that cub had been suckling from her, but it actually came out of the hole, so it looked like it had been from between the back legs, which is where the second cub would have been, because we had the first cub when we first met her. So there's a whole lot of scenarios. So it could have been her. Oh look, baby's on its back. Oh, rolling around. Amazing. So the two scenarios could be that it was the mother of the two cubs, or it could have been that there was two mothers and we're seeing the other mother. As I say, I'm pretty sure this other adult is the other mother, because she had not in her right ear, it was almost as if someone had actually bitten the top part of it off, and this one looks like it could be the same. But again, it's just going to be from visiting the den and just watching what's going on. Hopefully I'll be able to get to the bottom of it, because you may be lucky enough to see over the next few days another female suckling the young. You might see a female with the two cubs again. But from what I'm seeing, at least we definitely have 4 mothers. There's no doubt about that. But whether that third mother actually has 2 cubs or just the one, only time will tell. Hi, Lynn from Markham. Been wanting to know how many litters can a hyena have, and can you track them like leopards? You can certainly use a spot pattern to try and recognise the hyenas. You hear me talking about the notches in the ears. That's what I've been finding probably the most useful, is the marks on the ears. But spore-wise, I've never noticed a difference between the spore, but maybe someone can research it one day. So we see subtle differences in the length and the width of leopard spores. There's nothing to say that would be the same for the hyenas, but then there is quite a large number of hyenas, or more hyenas than there are leopards. So maybe someone out there might be studying that side of things. I haven't seen anything or read anything as yet to suggest that you can. And if memory serves me correctly, I think the hyenas, you're looking around a life expectancy of about 20 or so. So if the females start having pups when they're about 3-4 years old, and they'll probably have pups every 2 years or so. So maybe, yeah, about 6 or 7 litters throughout their life. Not at all, if you've got a good view. There might be 1 or 2 more Mantuans. We had them earlier, but it could just be 2 Mantuans, we're not sure yet. I'll take my bit of bone and go and sit in the doorway and eat it. Hi, Cecilia on Twitter. welcome on board this afternoon. I hope you're enjoying the hyenas. It's actually really nice just to sit and watch the behaviour. And I'm hoping we're melting a few hearts who might not enjoy hyenas very much. I'm sorry, your question has just popped out my head. I was just trying to see if I could find a picture of the aardvark.
If lions.
Ah, there we go, lions, thank you. Trying to do 3 things at once. But if lions actually come across the den, would they attack? And yes, they would. They are competitors. They do compete for food source, and unfortunately baby hyenas is an easy target, and if they do come across the hyena den, they would try and kill the hyenas. Same as leopard would try and kill the hyenas, and vice versa as well. And unfortunately we have known Karula to have lost her cub fairly recently because of a hyena, and unfortunately it does happen. There's a few mixed reports about cub mortality rate in hyenas. It sounds like it's probably around 50% in the first year. But they can fall prey to snakes as well, and any other carnivore that might find them out and about, away from the safety of the hole, and that's why you'll see them running backwards and forwards from the holes. And eventually they start getting more confident and moving further and further away from the holes. It's a hard life, isn't it, puppy? Hi, Tina from Houston, wanting to know how do hyenas come to their end? Probably like many carnivores, either through fighting with other hyenas, could be disease, could be injury. There's a lot of possibilities. Oh, very, very special. Well, with the wind dying down, I'm thinking maybe we should take a chance to have another drive around and see what else we can go and find. And if we're not successful, maybe we can come back here again a little bit later. But hopefully Brent will be able to come and check in on them tomorrow morning. And we still need to name the other 2 on Cheetah Cutline as well. So do you send your names through, because hopefully we can get the names for them and maybe even announce them tomorrow morning. See if I can get past this way now. The other female did move. Emily and Virginia. No one's saying goodbye, look. Emily and Virginia wanting to know, it seems as we visiting this hyena den quite often. Is there a possibility we're helping the lions and the leopards to find it? Not really. They do get used to, all the animals are used to seeing and hearing vehicles, and this is a road they'll often use as well, so yeah, there isn't any problem really. How's it? Good, how are you? There's a nice view if you go around the other side. You can actually see the hole quite nicely as well. No worries, enjoy your safari. And it seems to be quite a comfortable den because it does seem to get used quite often. And I remember just before we left 3 years ago, this was one of the den sites that we were visiting quite often. And as I say, I think little Anton Bella's mother caught wind of the lions, and they actually walked down the road, which is not too far away. The lions didn't come down this way, they went down the road. So I think she again panicked a little bit because she could smell them, and that's why she left. But the seasoned mothers might stay, and we've actually seen it on cheetah cutline. That female does look a lot older, and even though that male lion came to visit the den, she's still there. So maybe she could be risking the fact that the lion may have gone there because there was a carcass, or she may be quite happy in the fact that she chased him off and there was no damage done. But to say, each to its own, it's all experience. It depends on what they have experienced in the past. So do we go down to Treehouse Down? I'm still thinking maybe we should actually check out around the back of Final Control, the old Final Control again, because there was a lot of squirrels and lots of francolins calling. I still think there is somebody that side. I really do. No update on the wild dog, but I will keep my ear to the radio just in case. So elephants have disappeared, but as I say, I think they're probably going to be in the thick bush, but the wind has died down, so maybe it'll encourage them to step out from the thick bush. Oh, there we go. Oh, just missed it. It was a redback shrike. And actually, while I've stopped, I'll just quickly show you the aardvark, for those of you who have not seen an aardvark before. So these are the very large front paws and the huge claws that I was talking about. And then say the large ears, the long nose. Very well designed for actually getting in amongst all the termite holes, and they can actually stick the tongue down the termite holes, and it's quite sticky, and the termites will stick to it and they can lick them all up. Quite an odd looking animal. Quite large as well. You're looking sort of tail, sort of the end of the vehicle there to about here, and then height wise about that sort of height, so pretty large. Have we got any more places from where people are from? Just checking if any more places have come in. Do keep sending them in, it's great to hear where you're all from. questions at WildEarthTV, hashtag Safari Live. Whereabouts are you watching from in the world? Great to hear from you. And if you do have any questions while we're driving around, remember this is a live safari. We're broadcasting from Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. So you can enjoy the safari from the comfort of your own home. You can see what it's all about and see the animals and learn about the residents of Djuma Game Reserve. And as I say, certainly one of my favourite pastimes, just watching animals, watching their behaviour and understanding them a lot more. And you can see they were being quite tender towards each other as well. You know, even though they've got those massive jaws, the adult was not biting the youngster. And even little Dopendula getting obviously very irritated with the baby trying to take away its piece of bone, but also not biting it too hard. It was just giving it a very hard nudge towards the end. But hopefully maybe changing people's minds about the hyenas. I hope so. More windy out this side. So we'll try. We did go down that side of quarantine, so did we? Yes, we did. So we'll try the eastern side of quarantine. Let's see what we find. So for those of you who might have missed, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas, Southwest Virginia, New York. Thought I saw something big in a tree over there, but it looks like it's just shadows. But yeah, keep sending them in. Long Island, Shetland, the Shetland Isles. Great to have you all on board this afternoon. And unfortunately, for those of you who might have missed, this is my last drive. But you do have a new presenter trying out for tomorrow's drives. Mark will be coming back tomorrow, so he'll be taking over. But we have, for tomorrow, we have Brent, who sounds like he's going to be very interesting, and I think lots of stories to tell. Sounds like he's been guiding in quite a few places, so certainly going to have a lot to share with you all. I'm sure you're going to be very excited about that. And who knows what's around the corner. Switzerland, Michigan. I'm still certain something happened, but I'm not too sure what and where. Somewhere in this area up ahead of us, something happened. Someone is around, so I'm hoping if we do another lap, maybe that someone might just pop up to say hello. Say you never know what's around the corner. Idaho. Cheryl in Idaho. Welcome on board, Cheryl. Yeah. Cheryl wants to know, has it been, oh, it's Michelle, so not Cheryl. There goes a tree squirrel. Michelle, sorry Michelle, I was calling you Cheryl. Michelle wanting to know, has there been any reports of an animal taking up residence under the little house on the prairie? I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some of the animals have been using it for shelter. We haven't seen anything, but I say there's no reason to say, oh, One of my favourite birds. There you go, guys. Questions at WildEarthTV. Hashtag Safari Live. What bird is this? One of my favourites. You might just be able to make out the red eye and the slight hook to the bill. We're that close. See who comes back with the correct ID. Birds are keeping fairly quiet this afternoon. Probably because they know if they try and call, the wind's just going to not carry their voice too far. Belgium, Oklahoma, Maine, California. Great to hear where you're all from this afternoon. Keep those places coming in. And you can see that red eye really nicely now on this bird. Very cheeky, they're very good mimics, and they have been known to mimic the alarm call of meerkats, so that if there is a meerkat eating something, they give the alarm call, the meerkats scarper, and this bird flies in and picks up whatever it is that they've been eating. Very cheeky. Thank you. But some of you might know Andrew and Brian actually were privileged enough to spend up to about a year with meerkats, and I was asking the guys if they've seen this, and you guys said they had, but the meerkats cottoned on very quickly after once or twice of the birds doing it. Was that right?
Yeah.
So it didn't last too long. Brilliant. I love the cheekiness of that little bird. So it sounds like we've got some answers coming in already. Quick off the mark there. Can you just send through a couple of names? Who was first? Valerie! Well done, Valerie. Sally? Rob? Now, was that Rob or was that Glynis? Gloria! Brilliant. Got a few different names as well. All coming back with fork-tailed drongo. Well done, guys. Brilliant. There's a lot of people sending in the correct answer. Well done. But they were the first ones off the mark. Well done if you got it right back home. Okay, so we're taking that little 2-track that I've really fallen in love with. It really just screams leopard. South Germany, Atlanta, Oregon, Enid, upstate New York, Virginia, Indiana, Greece. Great to have you all on board. Keep them coming through. Really wonderful to hear from you all this afternoon. I'm really hoping we get to see a special lady. Something keeps telling me she's around here somewhere, or at least one of her family are. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we do have a resident female leopard called Karuna, and she graced us with her presence yesterday, which was absolutely thrilling. Couldn't have timed it better for Valentine's Day. And we've been very, very privileged to follow her and her family over the last few years. She's managed to rear 4 sets of cubs successfully to adulthood. This was the first set that met an early demise, sadly. One of them, we don't know if she actually had 2 or 3. We don't know how many were actually caught by the hyena. We know of one that was caught by a hyena, but I'm not sure if she still has any other cubs. If she doesn't, she will probably start mating around 4 months from now. But the motion. She'll still be suckling because the cub will be probably about a month and a half old, something like that now. And leopard cubs tend to suckle and be weaned for about 3 months. They can be suckled up until about 6 months, but generally speaking they weaned by about 3 or 4 months of age, so much quicker than the hyenas we were seeing earlier. And as I say, nice thick bush again, and it is really screaming leopard to me. We're actually behind the camp where we're staying, which is just down the road from the old final control and camp that we used to stay at. And I love the fact that this road's been made, because we could never get into this drainage line where Karula and her boys used to spend a lot of time, and there was times when Karula would actually walk through camp and she would take our washing off the line and roll around in it, especially white clothes. She used to like the white clothes. Thankfully she never tried my white skirt. Yeah, I do have a white skirt. Don't ask me why. It's a really nice skirt, but me and white do not mix. But it is still white, amazingly enough. And the boys, Misha and Induna, her second litter, would take towels off the line and play around with them in the drainage line. And the drainage line is actually just up ahead. So literally just behind where you're seeing that wooden structure, that's where the camp was and final control was. So it would be this drainage line that would run up and down, and absolutely fantastic. And just before we went live, I was just telling Andrew about Shavinzi, and Shavinzi and Shivan were Karula's third litter. And I remember, I think it was Mark out on drive and I was in final control, and Shavinzi walked right underneath the window at final control and just happened to look out at the right point. And I saw her and she saw me and kind of looked up through the window at me, went, "Oh, hello," and carried on with what she was doing, heading towards the drainage line, which is just this area here. South Dakota, Las Vegas, bright lights of Las Vegas. Washington State, welcome on board to you all, great to hear from you. Okay, what's going on here? These birds are going... What's going on, guys? A lot of birds calling here. We've got green wood hoopoes going crazy here. There's something going on there. The hornbill's also getting involved there. There could be a snake. See a couple of Birchall starlings there. They're all looking down. Let's see if I can just poke our nose in there and just have a look. But they're not happy about something. And for those of you joining us from Australia, listen to those green wood hoopoes. To me, it always sounds like the laughing kookaburras. What you looking at, guys? I have seen birds react to cats before. Is anybody in there? maybe this dipped down a little bit, but it doesn't, so it could well have been a snake. Okay, they're looking down there now. Pull forward a little bit, you might be able to see the greenwood hoopoes nicely. Oh, no, hornbills just chase them off. You can hear the manager's dogs barking again. Somebody is moving in this drainage line, promise you. It just depends on where they are. I say quite often you get the alarm calls of the birds and they're all gathering in one spot. Keeping an eye on something. It could have been a snake. Could have been a slender mongoose or something like that. Anything that is a potential threat. They can give the alarm call for. Just gonna have a peek around here, just see if we get another view. It's very thick that way. Okay. Might be worth us just checking down towards the lodge again. See if we can get another look at those green wood hoopoo for you. They're just in the tree here. Let's see. Ah! Of course they fly away. Settle down now. So yeah, how old is Karula? She's about 11 years old now. So she had her first litter when she was around the 2-year-old mark. Just a little bit young for leopard, but not impossible. And it could be because she had a litter when she was very young, it could be that's why she's a little bit on the small side. But she is looking in really good condition. She's in the prime of her life. So, Soseka and Tungana were her daughters. It's known to the rest of the guides as Tandy and Shadow. And then we have Misha and Induna, who were just getting to the stage of leaving their mother when I arrived. So we still managed to get to see moments of the boys playing together. Induna actually stayed behind for quite a lot longer than what is normal for male leopards. Usually they disperse around 2 years, year and a half, 2 years of age. and they tend to disperse further afield than what the daughters do. The daughters stayed fairly close, so sometimes you do get to see the daughters if they come this side. One went to the west and one went to the east. And Shavinzi and Shivambalana were the third litter that we got to spend a lot of time with. And we actually saw Induna interacting with the year-old cubs and the father, Yambili Ordan, who was thought to have been the father of both Nisha and Induna and Shavinzi and Shivambalana. And then more recently we've actually been privileged to catch up with Quarantine Male and Djuma, and we managed to spend a bit of time with both males. The one male actually just in this area where we've just visited now had a bushbuck kill there, and a couple of young hyenas came a couple of days later and managed to scavenge a bit of meat from him. And then, as I say, her final litter. Welcome on board, Tim, from Arkansas. Tim wanting to know at what age do females finish giving birth to the last litter, and they actually don't. They can keep giving birth right up until their ripe old age. Usually the average is around the 15-16 mark for leopards, but here in the sands we've known leopards to stay alive until they're about 19. And the only reason why White Cloth died, she was still strong. She had a son of about a year old. She was around 19 years of age, and she was actually protecting her son from another male leopard. And the son survived, but unfortunately she was killed. Karula's mother, Safari, she had one eye. I'm not sure how long she had that injury for, but she was known by that injury. She had a swollen blue eye, and she was also around the 19 mark, even with that injury, and she was able to hunt, and she was very successful. She was often seen on the drive. We're not sure what happened to her. Unfortunately, it was one of those. Someone said, "Oh, we haven't seen Safari for a few days." We have the babblers on our right. Arrow marked babblers, and it sounds like there's another family to the left. So these are the birds that we've been hearing quite a lot, and when one calls they all call, and it's to strengthen the bond within the group. It sounds like a pearl-spotted owlet calling. And again, look at the bird just in the middle of your screen to the right, preening the other bird. Just like with the impala and baboons, they will groom each other to strengthen the bonds within the family group as well. Known as allo grooming. Be known as allo preening in birds. Preening being very important for birds, keeping the feathers all in tip-top condition, and make sure, especially in the wings, obviously used for flying away. If there is any predators around, they need to keep them in tip-top condition, make sure there's no feathers that are damaged, and keeping them waterproof as well. And you quite often see the birds turning their heads down toward the base of the tail, and that's where the preen gland is, where it contains the oil, and they'll use the bill to wipe the oil all over the feathers to waterproof them. But you'll see some birds that don't have it, like the cormorants, and you'll see cormorants sitting on the sides of the banks with the wings open. It's because they don't have the oil to waterproof the feathers, because otherwise it would make them too buoyant. So they allow the feathers to get waterlogged. Helps to keep them under the surface of the water. They can swim around, but then they do need to dry them off once they finish fishing. But many birds, like the babblers, have this purine oil. And hopefully you can see that orange eye stands out. It's quite vivid. Arrow-marked babblers. And apparently it's settled down now. So we're coming out onto Mvubu Road, having taken that little shortcut. No idea what it's called. I don't think anyone's named it. We went from Gallego shortcut on that little 2-track. And we're now out on Mvubu Road. We're going to head south. Hello, Natal Franklin. Sitting in the middle of the road. Dive off to the right or the left? There we go. At least the wind has died down. This is good. Ah, there we go. Just as you were saying. We have a giraffe. We have half a giraffe. There we go. Got the full giraffe. And the ever-present oxpeckers. Hi, Linda from California. And it's an absolute pleasure, Linda. Glad to show the babblers to you. They're one of those, you hear them a lot, but you don't often see them. So first time Linda seeing the babblers. And I think this is our male giraffe that has that limp. We keep seeing him every so often. Look at those white ears. And those white ears do stand out really well. And remember, they're around the same height as the eyes are for the giraffes, and it probably is a follow me sign, so when the other giraffes are around feeding they can just have a look, and at that height they can just see those white ears in amongst all the bushes. They can keep a check on where each other is, just like the follow me sign, the warthog's tail when it stands up on end and they run through the bush, the little piglets can follow, or the rest of the group. The white on the back of the tail for the kudus and the nyalas for the herd to follow. There's a lot of different follow me signs. Even the black tip of the lion's tail, the cubs will be able to follow mum through the bush, and then get the white tip of the leopard tail. So white is used for that purpose in the bush quite often. But you can see how vivid it is against the green. That's why you don't want to be wearing white if you're walking in the bush. And a few people asking about the fireside chat this evening. Unfortunately, we're not able to do one. We don't have enough people to actually set up a fireside chat. But that's quite wonky horns, this male. But as I say, you'll be able to meet Brent tomorrow morning on drive, and tomorrow afternoon he'll be doing 2 drives for you, trying out behind the wheel, presenting for you. So it'll be interesting to hear the stories that he has from all the places that he's been guiding. Looking forward to hearing those tomorrow before I go. And I'll be heading back towards Leidenburg to carry on my research on the leopards. But you can still keep in touch. I'm going to be dropping in and out of Facebook every so often. Unfortunately, I don't have access to internet very much, so I won't be on as often, but I will still be there, and on Twitter as well if anything exciting happens. And I'll be busy writing my next papers with Reading University as well. If those of you want to actually read the paper, we managed to get those incredible sightings of Karula. I was hoping we'd get another view of him, but he's... Can you see him over there, or not really?
Can try.
So just that little bit too low. But a lot of you were on board with those magical sightings of Karula and her family, and we were able to get an academic paper written with the help of my supervisor, Professor Mark Fellows, and Dr. Becky Thomas from University of Reading. They were able to help me get it into the literature in the African Journal of Ecology. So it's forever written that they were sightings of families interacting on Wild Earth. And I'm just so chuffed we were able to get that published so that it's going to go down in history. We made history here on Wild Earth, and you guys were a part of it. Hi Gloria, welcome on board this afternoon. Gloria wanting to know if the lion saw the giraffe, would it target the giraffe with his limp? Could possibly. And it isn't abnormal to see a male giraffe on his own. It's not abnormal to see a female giraffe on her own. They do form loose associations. Sometimes they'll be in a herd, sometimes mixed, sometimes the same sex. Just depends on what they feel like on the day. But it could be that he's just got a sore muscle or something, and it could heal. Can we say hello, mister? There we go. Look at that. But giraffe are not easy prey. When they put the heads down to drink, that's when they're vulnerable. We don't have tarmac roads. I say many lions have learned if they push the giraffes towards the tarmac roads, they'll slip on the wet surface if it's raining, so they're easier to catch. But giraffes can actually kick front ways, back ways, sideways. Obviously not all at the same time. They do have to keep at least a couple of feet on the ground. But they can kill a lion with a kick, so when they're standing, the lions will be extremely careful. So it's usually around the water holes that they'll take giraffes down. So even with his limp, he could still defend himself quite nicely. Just see if he's going to come out from behind the bush. Otherwise, we shall leave him to it if he isn't. How do you hide a giraffe? Very well. Never ceases to amaze me how well these big animals can hide. Even elephants. Elephants can move through the bush so quietly. You hardly even know they're there until you're right on top of them. And you can see that wedge-shaped face working really well. He's getting right amongst all the branches and the lips are helping him to navigate his way around the thorns and the branches as well, using his tongue to pick off the leaves. And those thick eyelashes are going to protect his eyes from the sun glaring, because they will spend quite a long time gathering food, somewhere around the 14-16 hour mark, gathering food during the day. They're out and about in the sun, and those thick eyelashes will also protect their eyes from thorns and insects and things like that also. The tail Franklin calling behind us there, as the sun's departing the world, giving the chorus to say goodbye. Well, let's leave our giraffe to it. Looks like he's found himself quite a nice tasty tree to chew on for a while. Unfortunately hides him. Mouse birds, there we go. That wind's picking up again. So I think let's make a quick turn down by Pan. Let's make sure no one's popped out of there. Central there, and put across Vulture's Nest and come back up through the drainage line. See if there's anything going on that side. I'm trying to make as many passes around the quarantine area because I'm sure there's something going on that side. Something's happening, something in that drainage line. See if we can find anything else before we have to say goodbye. And of course, with the cloud cover, it is starting to get a little bit dark. I don't think we're going to be able to see Jupiter this evening, or Venus. No word on those dogs, but maybe tomorrow they might make their way this side. That'd be very cool. Who do we have in the tree? This is where we started from this afternoon. Can't believe nobody got it. Questions at WildEarthTV, hashtag Safari Live. Just about make up a little tuft of feathers on top of the head. And this is definitely one of the favourite perches of this bird. Usually one of the first birds to migrate back at the beginning of summer. Well, the first of the large birds, that is. Sitting very pretty there. lots of francolin calling this evening. Well done, first of them out. And Lisa, great to hear from you. Also, great answer, well done. Not quite a marshal, not quite a battalier. There's to have a tail. Marshal, you're looking at much larger. What was that, Kingfisher? Oh, a fishhawk. Getting a couple of names mixed up there. Fish eagle, some hawk. Getting a couple of names mixed up there. Fish eagle and some kind of hawk. Nice try, guys. But the feathers and the warburgs. It's a juvenile. Threw me the first time I saw it as well. Tail francolins again in the road. Oh, and the scrub hare. I think because of this overcast weather, it is quite normal to see nocturnal animals out and about. It's quite cool as well. That's the second scrub hare this afternoon. You see those very long limbs and the large ears. Hares are different to rabbits. We've been talking a lot about the development of young. So the rabbits actually have offspring that again are blind and naked, and they need a lot of looking after. They'll live in a warren. They live in holes underground, whereas the hares are actually born fully developed, ready to run, fully furred. And they're known as leverets. Baby rabbits are known as kittens. And the hares usually live in a scrape in the ground, so they don't live underground in holes. So there's actually quite a few differences between hares and rabbits. So this is the scrub hare. Rabbits, the rock rabbits especially in South Africa, as the name suggests, they do tend to live in more rocky areas, and we do have the rock rabbit, Jameson's rock rabbit, where I'm studying the leopards. And they stockier, they're actually not as streamlined as the hair on the screen now. Their ears are much shorter, and even their limbs are much shorter as well, and they look a little bit awkward actually. And the tails are all black, whereas if this hare runs you'll see black on the top side and white underneath. Leverets and kittens, the offspring of hares and rabbits. And this is a good looking hare as well, in good condition. This actually looks fairly similar to the endangered riverine rabbit, and that's one of the most endangered species in South Africa. And you find it... oh, it's charging us. Hey, little one. Oh. You just about see his ears. The riverine rabbit you'll find further north in South Africa, along the Orange River. Wow, how relaxed is this hare? It's amazing. You need to be careful, buddy. You're going to become food. really is so pretty. I've never been this close to a hare before.
The way he just ate that was great.
One of the differences between hares and rabbits and rodents is the teeth. Hares and rabbits actually have the front teeth, but they have a pair of teeth directly behind those front teeth, so it's almost like a square with the teeth forming the corners. Whereas the rodents, it is just the two front teeth, and they continuously grow. But it's those peg teeth behind on the rabbits that the rodents don't have. I can't believe how chilled this hare is. It's amazing. I know some of you might be thinking, it's just a hare, but it is absolutely amazing. I've never seen them this close before. And so relaxed. Stay safe, little one. I'm probably going to startle him now by turning on the vehicle. There we go, see if we can just get a nice shot of him there. You can see that white tail. I was actually talking about it this morning, but they also have a similar digestive system to that of the rhino and the elephant. They hindgut fermenters, so not like the antelope that we've been seeing so much of with the four-chambered stomach. So the hares and the rabbits have a problem that they do lose a lot of goodness from what they eat, because they hindgut fermenters, they only have the cecum, or what's the equivalent of our appendix, which lies between the two intestines. So they've got the problem that it's only the large intestine that they have to absorb any goodness that the cecum or the appendix has broken down. That's where the cellulose gets broken down. So to overcome that problem, the elephants and the rhinos have become huge animals so that they can actually take in a lot of food. So they what's known as bulk feeders. So they take in a lot of food so they can get over the problem of losing a lot of nutrition. But you can see the hare is not the size of a rhino. So instead, the hare actually eats its own dung. So as soon as it actually goes to the toilet, the dung that has gone through the system the first time is actually very dark in colour. There's a lot of nutrients there. So they'll often take the dung straight from the anus and re-chew it, re-eat it, and it'll go through the digestive system again. And sometimes they'll do that 2 or 3 times, so that the nutrients are actually absorbed that second or third time round. Doesn't sound very tasty, I must admit, but it is a way around being a hindgut fermenter. But it does mean that they can take in fairly poor quality food. Chewing on the love grass here. So what you see in the field is very pale in colour, and that would have passed through the rabbit or the hare a number of times, so that that is actually discarded, and that's why it's so pale. Well, I'm sorry, little one, if I disturb you. Just trying to give him warning that we're going to start the engine. Well, it worked. Are you going to stay there while... Nope. Gone. Alright, little one. Goes. Oh, that was very cool. Quite a weird light. It's got almost like an orange haze to it.
Very
Absolutely
strange.
stunning. I think that's to do with the angle of the sun with the clouds.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it is definitely the Twilight Zone. Don't know if we're able. Are you able to do something that could show how orange it is? Hi, Beverly from Australia. Welcome on board. Great, still here that we've got our friends from down under on board. I'm wondering how many offspring do the hares have? Do they have as many as the rabbits? And I don't think they do. Again, it's the same problem that the antelope have. If they have too many developing inside them, we're just seeing if we could maybe show how orange the light is for you.
Brian thinks I've changed the white pen as well.
Oh, yeah, no, we haven't actually changed anything apparently. So you are actually seeing this orange colour. It's amazing. But yeah, they'd have the same problem with the young developing, overdeveloping, and being too heavy for the females to carry. It would slow them down too much. So as far as I know, the hares don't have as many offspring at once as the rabbits do. Because the hares, as I say, are more developed than the rabbits are. Hi, Jeffrey in Texas. Do hares have territories? And I believe they might, but I'm not completely sure. It's one of those I've never thought to look up. Maybe someone can check it out for us. I know hares do fight over females, but it could be that they're not territorial, they just fight over the females. Maybe they do. Yeah, maybe someone could check it up for me. My mind is a little bit hazy. I might have known it in the distant dark past, but I can't remember it now. See if anyone comes back before the end of drive. Questions at WildEarthTV. Hashtag Safari Live. Find out for us if hares are territorial. Doug in Connecticut, welcome on board. Wondering if the hare's ears could give their position away to predators. And potentially they could. You can see those ears just at the top of the vehicle there. But they're also able to flatten their ears right down the back. So it's quite interesting. If they think there is a predator around, they literally put the heads down, put the ears down, and they just stay still. And they will do what the kudu do and other antelope. They'll just wait it out and wait for the predator to come very close to them, and they'll literally wait until that last second, and then all of a sudden they just spring out from where they've been hiding, and that predator might just take that step back and go, oh, what was that? And that is that split moment where the animal could have its life because of that split second delay from that predator. It is that close in the bush. The difference between life and death literally on the split second timing. Franklins do it as well. You quite often, if you're walking through the bush as a guide, your heart jumps in your mouth. The amount of times it happens. And you have walking through the bush, and the francolins have kept quiet, and then all of a sudden they just fly up from the side of you. Really, it's quite amazing. Your heart just goes, especially the first couple of times it happens. So we're making our way through to Chelapan, and we'll cut through onto Weaver's Nest Road again. And I'm hoping maybe we'll still make an appearance for you. But if she doesn't, there's always tomorrow. That's the beauty of joining us here on Wild Earth. There's always a tomorrow. And you never know what's around the corner as well. I mean, this is the African bush. Anything is possible. We heard about the wild dogs. It could be those wild dogs are running up this road right now. It could come around the corner and there could be a cat lying in the middle of the road. You just don't know. And that is one of the most amazing things. And because it is live, we can't tell you what's going to happen. You are seeing it as we're seeing it. And that's what makes it so special. And I'm just so chuffed I was able to come and join you once again, be a part of this very special program that we bring to you daily on the internet. Thank you very much. From Anne. Thanks, Anne. Apparently hares aren't territorial, so it sounds like they share that in common with the sparrow-horned antelope. So they'll just fight over females. They don't have territory. Thanks, Anne. That one is going to be logged in here from now on. Spaghetti Junction, and out the other side we're going to have Cheddar Pan. Starlings are still calling. Hi, Dina in Michigan. Welcome on board, Dina. Wanting to know if I'm by myself at the research camp. And yet, sometimes I am, sometimes I have volunteers to come and help my research. Sometimes I have the odd person dropping in. My colleague as well, sometimes she's there, sometimes she's out on safaris. But I have my little dog, he's always with me, little Tucker, and I'm very excited to see him. It's been a couple of weeks. I hope he'll forgive me. He's always so happy to see me, and then he gets a little bit stroppy with me. Why did you leave me? Why can't I go with you? Very intelligent little dog, heart of a lion. He's a little Jack Russell. Actually sometimes thinks he is a lion. Quick look at Chelapan and then head on through Weaver's Nest up to quarantine area. See if we can get lucky in the next 10 minutes of drive. Just a quick stop to say hello. No one there by the looks of it. They're hiding very, very well. Just checking underneath these bushes just in case somebody's lying under there. They're amazing, that wind really has dropped now. No wind at all. Or very little. So as a guide, you do keep a check on what's going on. Oh, thank you ever so much, everybody. Sending your well wishes and goodbyes. And it's been amazing these last couple of weeks. We really have seen some wonderful things, wonderful sightings. I'm so chuffed we were able to spend so much time with the hyena pups. So we have 4 mothers with pups all around the same age. Absolutely amazing. Probably all from the same clan from this area. Say hopefully we've changed a few minds out there about hyenas. I really hope so. Seeing Karuna and her boys, they really are all looking in good condition. It's lovely to check in with them all. And the Ellie sighting, I don't think anybody's going to forget that in a hurry. But I did tell my mum, and I did show her the pictures. I think my dad actually showed her the video as well. But I did explain to her what happened, so she understood he wasn't being aggressive. Just curious. But yeah, certainly that's the closest I've ever been to an elephant. A wild elephant. But once again, memories made with you guys. Oh, I'm so happy you could join us here in the Sabi Sands and Wild Earth. And if there is another opportunity for me to come back and it fits in with my research, because obviously the PhD, you need to concentrate on finishing papers and things like that, but if it is possible, then I will jump at the chance for sure to come and join you guys again. There is my spotlight.
Battalier.
Yeah, Battalier. You can see the red face there. I'm just going to drop the torch a little bit just so I don't blind it, but that is a black Battalier. I wonder if we can get a little bit closer to it. So I don't want to shine the light on it too much and blind it. Probably the closest we're going to get. I'll just show you quickly. There we go, there's the red legs and there's the red face. So that is the Battalier. The short-tailed snake eagle is what I think they're wanting to call it. You can see the wings actually folding just underneath the branch there, but no tail. It has a very short tail indeed. But watch as I say, I don't want to put the light on it too much, so it will move on so we don't disturb it too much. Back up onto, oops, sorry, Weaver's Nest Road, a little bit bumpy there. Maybe we'll hear the hyenas calling again. That bird pitch. Woo! Woo! nightjar starting to cool. The fiery necked nightjar. Oh dear, my whistle's broken again. And the woodlands kingfisher joining in the chorus. Chip chirr, chip chirr. Yeah, my whistle is definitely broken. Here we are at the junction of Filman's Cut Line and Reaver's Nest Road. Very quiet. But there is a bit of a sunset. But as I say, everybody, thank you so much for joining us these last couple of weeks and being a part of Wild Earth once again. It really has been so special, and I'm so thrilled to have been able to spend some time with you again. And as I say, I will try and check in as often as possible, let you know what I'm doing, and I will let you know when I do release the papers as well, especially on the leopards, which is hopefully going to happen this year, fingers crossed, if I can get everything sorted out. And as I say, it really has just been fantastic. Thank you for all your questions, thanks for sending in from where you are. As I say, it's awesome to hear who's on board. And as I say, I've learned a few things as well, so thank you all. From myself, from Andrew, thank you very much for all your camera work, and Brian, these guys have been absolutely wonderful. Really nice guys, part of the Wild Earth team for sure. Take care everybody, stay safe and enjoy tomorrow's game drive with Brent, and I'll see you soon, sometime soon. Goodbye for now.